All right, I think we're officially live, so I'm excited to say welcome officially to CovetCon 2021. We are so excited that we're able to connect with you all virtually. We wish it could be in person, but at least with this virtual format, we get to see so many of you. We get to have so many of you tuning in from all over the world, which we're super excited and honored that you will spend your time with us. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Amanda. I am the head of marketing for Covet Fashion, and I am incredibly honored to be sitting here with so many powerful and inspirational women that Covet is lucky enough to work with on a daily basis. And we're really excited to introduce all of them to you. But before I do that, I do have a few housekeeping items. So just make sure that you're sharing where you're tuning in from. Like I said, we're really excited to connect with you all. So share in the chat where you're tuning in from. It's always really fun for us to see. And of course, we do have a little giveaway connected with this. If you haven't logged into your game yet, make sure you do and check out the Women in Power Style Challenge. It is a limited time style challenge connected with CovetCon, only available for 24 hours. So make sure you log in, you enter the challenge, and you share your look with your username within the chat. We'll be randomly selecting someone to get 1,000 in-game diamonds. So make sure you're styling and sharing your look. And yeah, after a really tough year, we wanted to kick things off on a really inspirational note and speak to some powerful women, like I said, that inspire us every day. So excited to get into it. So I'll give a quick little intro of everyone here before we get into the questions. First off, we have Christine Currants, who is the president of Badgley Mischka. We have been so fortunate to be working with her and the incredible team at Badgley Mischka for over 3 years now. We've done everything from in-person events to at Fashion Week to a lot of virtual events this past year, and we are so grateful to have you guys as an incredible partner. And Stephanie Gottlieb, who is a new designer to Covet Fashion, and we're so excited to have her in the game. She established her collection back in 2013, and what we really loved is she really shares a common ethos with Covet, really about inspiring customers to embrace their uniqueness, embrace their creativity, and explore their style. And we were lucky to have her and her collection join the game back in the winter of 2020. And then we also have Laura Adhav from Cosmo team. She's a fashion editor at Cosmo, and we're so excited to have her here and have all the Cosmo team participating in so many events at CovetCon this year. She writes about any and all style trends and celeb fashion moments. You should definitely check out some of her articles online. She has a lot of really fun roundups, a lot of really great styling tips. So make sure to check out some of her work. I love that she's a lover of wide leg jeans and feels powerful in high-waisted pants. I can definitely relate to that. So big fan, excited to chat with her more. And then last but not least, our fearless leader of Covet Fashion for over 3 years, industry veteran for 20 plus years. What I love about Sarah and working with her every day is she is a powerful woman. She is unapologetically herself, and she really lifts up all of those around her. So excited to chat with everyone more today. So just to kind of kick things off, I would love for each of you just to kind of give a little intro in your own words, kind of a little bit about your role and how you were first connected to Covet. And Christine, we can start with you.
Oh, exciting. Well, thank you again for having me here. So excited to be here. As you said, I'm the president of Badgley Mischka, so I oversee finance, logistics, marketing, you name it, everything. And it's a lot of fun. So when I first got connected with Covet, it was a no-brainer to the thought of having millions of more eyes on our brand, and with so many female gamers increasing, it was such a natural. And the way Covet beautifully illustrates all of Mark Badgley and James Mischka's designs is just incredible. So we tested the game and played with it, and then we were in. So that's how this all came about.
Amazing. Even after working on this game for however long, I still don't even understand how our artists do it. They do such an incredible job.
So beautiful.
Rendering the pieces. So I'm glad they can do Mark and James' work justice. All right, Stephanie, let's go to you next.
Sure. I'm Stephanie Gottlieb, New York City-based jewelry designer and curator. I've got an online jewelry store and showroom in New York. I was connected to Covet almost a year and a half ago. And I just loved the idea of kind of bringing our jewelry to a virtual world. I thought we definitely align on ethos. For me, jewelry is about, I've always sort of gone a little over the top with my accessories. That was my way of expressing myself. And same with my clothing. As you can see, my clothing is not quiet, but my personality actually is. So very much like Covet, it's sort of this escapism. And the fact that we've had 25 million looks created in a year and a half is just like wild to me. But so much fun and cool to reach a new audience. So very happy to be here.
Amazing. We're lucky to have you. Lauren, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Lauren Adhav. I'm the fashion editor at Cosmo. And like Amanda said, I work on trend stories, market roundups. I work on both the website and the print magazine, along with and kind of help shape the print stories with pitching. And I do that with Rachel Torgerson, who was on earlier as the fashion features director. And I was first connected to Covet through our emerging platforms director, Mia, because Cosmo has been super interested in doing more in the gaming space and what Covet does and bringing these designs to a virtual world. I think is so amazing and incredible. So we're really excited to be a part of this and to partner with you guys.
Awesome. We are so excited as well to officially kick off this partnership with CovetCon. So I hope everyone's styling the challenges in game and looking to Cosmo for more tips on how to perfect their looks. All right, Sarah, over to you.
Oh, yay, I get one too. I didn't know. Thank you, Amanda, for that amazing introduction. You make me feel so proud to get to work with you and our wonderful team. And also, my goodness, look at the company that I'm keeping right now. What an honor to be with these other powerful women who bring so much to our experience. So as you said, I was connected to Covet about 3 years ago. I've been making games for about 20 years. And before Covet, I was working on a game called The Sims. And there's a huge fashion element to The Sims. And so Covet was just kind of a natural next step. And it's just been kind of an amazing experience for me to help grow the game over these past 3 years.
Amazing. So I'd love to dive a little more, just kind of looking back a little bit on where you started your career. Why did you decide to do what you wanted to do? And this, like, did you start on this path or did you start somewhere completely different and kind of find your way to where you are now? Christine, do you want to kick us off again?
Sure. Well, I always knew I wanted to be in fashion. Similar to Covet, I gave my own, style. I gave myself my own style challenges. I remember when I was a kid, one semester of school, I said, I'm never going to wear the same outfit twice. So I just went back into my closet and put things together in new ways and everything. So I just didn't repeat the same outfit. So fashion, was always a passion. And I went to school for apparel design, got a degree in that, and started out as a design intern in a fashion house, which should have been labeled messenger because that's all I did. I took coffee orders and carried around a dozen cups of coffee and my 3-inch stilettos around New York City. That was my life. Not sure if you ever saw The Devil Wears Prada, but it looked a lot similar to that. And but I was happy to be there. I loved every single second of it, and I couldn't take it back. So I would say for any ladies out there watching this, go do it. Even if it's grunt work, even if it's not what you want to be doing, showing up every day with a smile and being happy to be there impresses everyone.
Because you get through it, right? And then look where you are now. And you have that to look back on. You're like, I really started from the bottom and I worked hard to get to where I am. I love that. Lauren,
I wish we could see those pictures. Sorry, Amanda. I wish we could see those pictures of Christine from when she was in school, changing her outfit every day. I wish we could go back in time for that.
The original outfit of the day.
Yeah.
Lauren, how about you?
Yeah, I would say similar to Christine, I always knew I wanted to be in fashion in some capacity. And I feel like even as a kid, like my mom loves looking through photos of, it was me and my one older sister. She's 2 years older than I am, but she was like more of a tomboy growing up. But I was always the one putting on like the most extra like dresses and like feather boas like at 4 years old. So yeah, I had always loved fashion, and as I got older, I got more interested in the magazine side of that. And I just loved reading through all the magazines. I like loved going to the airports because I would just like stock up on all these different magazines and just flip through them. And then I'm from Florida originally, so I went to the University of Florida and did journalism there. And there was a magazine track specifically, so I kind of knew exactly that I wanted to go into the magazine world, but I didn't know exactly like what a job would look like there. But yeah, it's just you work your way up, and it was a little bit difficult being from Florida and knowing that I wanted to get to New York City, because I was applying to just countless things like from Florida, and knowing that, I told everyone like I'm more than happy to move there. But yeah, you just need one person to say yes. And I finally got an internship at Town and Country magazine, which is also a Hearst publication. And then from there, ended up at Cosmo.
I love that. Persistence, all about persistence. Yeah. Stephanie, how about you?
So I sort of stumbled upon jewelry. It wasn't my intention. And actually, I had imagined myself working for a magazine. All of my internships had been previously at fashion magazines, and I too knew I wanted to end up somewhere in the luxury fashion space. So I took an internship with a diamond company right out of college with the intention of applying to every magazine in New York City while I was interning and making a little bit of money. But I ended up just falling really hard when I was there. I loved everything about what I was doing every day. I was learning so much, and it was something so new and different. So, it just happened that way, and I loved it. And I ended up staying in that position for 5 years. So I guess kind of moral of my story is sometimes you have to like go off your beaten path, and you never know what you might stumble upon. But for me, jewelry I fell in love as soon as I was exposed to it. So here I am.
Well, we're grateful you found that path, because we're grateful we get to have access to your beautiful pieces. Sarah, what about you?
Completely agree. So my story is a little bit different. I had no idea what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I always say that I fell into video games. I wanted to do PR for a nonprofit. I wanted to get out of Nashville, where I grew up, although now I want to go back. It's such a great town now, and I wanted to live in California. So I had no plan, I had nothing, and I was looking for a PR job, and the only PR job I could find was in video games. And I was like, what's this? And so I fell into it. And much like Christine said, that first year was all about the grunt work, mailing things, answering phones, running errands, doing things, just crazy, crazy grunt work. And then I kind of just fell into games. I worked at Electronic Arts, I worked at Activision, and I kind of wound my way up. And what I experienced being one of the few women in games was that you have to find something that is meaningful to you. So back at the beginning, I did kind of everything, but now, as I've gotten further in my career, it's been about finding something that makes you feel passionate. And so finding Covet Fashion was a perfect blend for me, because I love fashion and I love making content for women, and I love creating a platform that brings women together. So here I am.
I love that. So it sounds like most of you kind of knew at least what area you wanted to get into and were very passionate about pursuing that. But were there moments where you kind of felt a little bit more self-doubt, or kind of question, like, is this really the career that I want to pursue? Because, doing certain grunt work is hard, and you just feel like, am I ever going to get out of this? Is this what I'm going to be doing forever? So kind of love to hear from each of you, like, is there a moment that you can talk about, or just, anytime you find yourself in that kind of situation, like what you do to kind of get out of it. Stephanie, let's start with you.
So for me, I don't think that moment came until like a few years into what I was doing. I worked for the same company for 5 years. And when I looked around at what else was happening in the industry, it felt very lateral. Like you either own the company or you work for them forever. And there really wasn't that much room to grow. And so that's why I left that company and just sort of took the leap to start doing things on my own. I don't think I had doubts in that moment that I was making the right move. Like I really felt confident that I would be able to figure out what I was going to do, although I had like zero business plan when I started. Not something I suggest, but I think a couple years into having my own business, as things started taking shape, I definitely had moments where I, doubted which path to take, because my intention was always to keep the business manageable enough that it was just me. And I was sort of modeling it after a family friend who had her own private jeweler business for years and still continues to, with grown children and, maybe grandchildren on the way. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. And then Instagram turned my business into something very different. And I just kept following the path and riding the wave. And it's been an amazing journey, but there were definitely moments along that journey that I said, like, do I have to keep following this? Like, can I turn back? And, it's hard to know when you're sort of forging your own path, if you're going the right direction. But I will say, like, just sort of riding it out and seeing what happened worked for me. I was very lucky in that way. But you also have to sort of seize opportunities as you see them if you want to build out that path for yourself.
Amazing. Christine, what about you?
I definitely had self-doubt. I think everybody goes through self-doubt at some point, man, woman, everyone. And for me, it was, I had gotten a degree in apparel design. I was in this design department. And if you could see my stick figure sketches, you would have called me out right then and then and said, what the hell are you doing here? When there's all this amazing talent surrounding me, I clearly didn't belong. And I soon was, recognized on the business side, the business acumen, and kind of made that switch because, when I was younger and coming up, I thought to be in fashion, you've got to be a designer. I didn't understand there was this world of the business of fashion. And so thankfully I got exposed to it through my design job and realized I could make a switch. And it was a big decision now after I got this degree and everything else that I'm kind of shelving all of that and I'm moving in a different direction. But it paid off, and I would just say that if you're on the wrong path, it's okay to make a correction. I wouldn't get too carried away that, what am I doing? Because I think, you need to make a lot of turns in order to get to the right spot, and that's okay. And I think to listen, even though everybody was pointing me in the direction of design, I think really listening to my inner self and what got me excited was being around fashion and the whole idea. And I loved the business of it and really listening to that voice inside yourself.
I think that's such good advice too, to also explore around like whatever you're passionate about, because there's not just like one path to get in there. Like there's so many different ways that you can stay connected. Like even with gaming, it's not just like development, like there's, marketing and business and all of that, and art and everything else to go along with it. There's so many ways to kind of connect your talents to your passion. All right, Lauren, what about you?
I would say, I touched on this a little bit earlier, but I think initially when I was trying to get my foot in the door, like doing something in fashion and being at a magazine, it was challenging because you would get a lot of no's or you wouldn't even hear back from anyone. And it was kind of discouraging, and it did make me question a little bit whether this was something I was actually serious about and something I wanted to pursue. But yeah, I think you just have to push all those doubts aside and know that it's something you want to commit to. And then if you do get a position or a job and achieve that goal and then realize down the road later, it's not something that you wanted to do, then at least you know that and you gave it a shot. And then for me, it was a tough move from Florida to New York City. It was really exciting at first, but then I think it kind of wears off after a bit, and you're just like thrown in the thick of everything. And I had a lot of jobs that seemed a little bit temporary, like working in a fashion closet or working like in a photo studio, and they were fashion adjacent, but I wasn't really doing anything editorial or any writing with those jobs. And it was hard to like find the one place where I felt like it was more permanent and like, oh yes, this is what I want to be doing. I mean, it definitely takes a lot of persistence and cold emailing and finding, like reaching out to people and just being more comfortable with doing that, because for me, I didn't have any connections to the industry at all. But that really helped me grow and then into the position where I'm at today.
It's amazing. Sarah, do you have anything to add?
Well, I just really liked hearing what everyone had to say, and especially what Christine said about listening to your inner self. I would add that imposter syndrome is real, and doubts are real, and no matter how high you get, you still doubt yourself. And I think that just listening to yourself, checking in and making sure that you're on the path that's right for you, knowing that it's going to take work to get there, knowing that it's not always going to be easy, knowing that you're going to have some days where you're like, this is awful, and some days where you're like, this is the best. And just kind of riding that path and staying true to yourself and finding ways to kind of keep yourself centered and on your path. I think that's important.
I love that. And I want to get to a couple of our user questions too. I know we're quickly running out of time, but I do want to touch on the imposter syndrome a little bit and see if anyone has like really quickly just advice or like what you do to kind of get yourself pumped up and like out of that mindset and just be like, I got this, whether it's like power posing or like listening to music, kind of what do you do to like really get into that confident mindset? Lauren, let's start with you.
Imposter syndrome is very hard, and it's really easy to compare yourself to other people and think that you don't measure up in some way. I feel like something that I did honestly was like delete Instagram off my phone for a bit, just because it's like you want to be happy that everyone else is like doing these amazing things and like posting and just not feel like you're falling short of what everyone else is doing. So that was kind of what I did. But yeah, it is. I mean, it's still something that it's a continuous process where you have to come back to yourself and say, like, just be who you are and don't compare yourself to other. I mean, it's easier said than done, but a continual learning process for sure.
I love that. That's really good advice. It's so easy to get sucked into that. Stephanie,
yeah, but endless scrolling is just not great.
Yeah.
The endless scrolling, not so good.
No. Stephanie, what about you?
I wish I could delete Instagram for a minute. My life is very much in Instagram, it's tricky because when one thing goes wrong, it sort of feels like the world is ending. And it's happened a couple times and it's very hard to get yourself out of it. I think for me, it's like you have to stop yourself for a moment and sort of look at your successes. Okay, this did not work. Not going to do that again. But here are all of the things that we've done well. Here are all of the things that I've succeeded in. And that's the direction I'm going to push myself in. And I think, social media is definitely a dangerous place for people who, kind of can't get themselves out of that mindset of comparing. So what I've found myself doing in the last year is trying to be inspired by what I see on Instagram rather than comparing myself to. And really like finding the things that set me apart from what other people are doing. Rainbow has always been my thing since I'm a little kid, but I made that my thing on Instagram because truly that's what makes me happy. I actually made an Instagram account just for rainbow inspiration because looking at those pictures, that makes me happy. That puts me in a good place. So, finding that one thing that you can be proud of for yourself and just kind of keep pushing at that, and sort of let the failures go behind you.
Love that. Christine, what about you?
I think to go back to your original question about, how to stay confident and, how to feel empowered is, sometimes it's external. I'm somebody who I dress for my mood. So if I need to get out of a mood, sometimes you have to throw on that red power dress, and go take a seat at the table, feel confident, be prepared, do your homework, appear confident no matter what, play a game with yourself that you're acting and this is what you're going to do. And all of a sudden it starts pouring through. And I think that is honestly, how I've gotten through some tough moments.
I love that. I definitely feel sometimes like the mornings that I wake up and I just like want to put on sweatpants and just not care, are the days I'm like, okay, I need to get up and get dressed because I need to like pull myself out of this.
Yeah, glamour's not skin deep. Like
all right,
you
Sarah.
internalize it, you feel it,
No.
Totally agree.
Exactly.
Fake it till you make it sometimes. One more question, Jane says, okay, I'll just really quickly answer. I think, like I said before, imposter syndrome is real. I get inspired by the people around me. So I hire strong, powerful people who are smarter than me, and then I try to empower them. And that helps. We talk about our successes, we work together. It's not kind of go it alone. But one real practical tip that I'm sure I've told you, Amanda, before that I've done, if I ever have to get up in front of a huge group of people, which is often, and if I'm feeling nervous, I actually do a power pose. I do a superwoman pose. I go into the bathroom, I stand like that, I do some deep breathing, I try to center myself, and I then go out there and I feel powerful, even if 5 minutes before I wasn't. So I think those are some of the tricks.
Amazing. Well, that went super quickly. I don't know how we ran out of time already, but that was really inspiring. Even if we could just have 30 minutes to talk to you, I really, really appreciate everyone participating in this panel and sharing your stories. I'm sure everyone else got a lot out of it. I know I did. And just to kind of wrap up, the winners from the sweepstakes will be announced at the end of CovetCon. So just a reminder to style your look in game and then post it with your username on the Facebook page. And again, one random winner will get 1,000 diamonds in game. We have so much more content. We are just getting started with CovetCon. We have so much more content coming up over the next couple of days. Be sure to tune into our Instagram lives. We're doing a wine tasting with Cosmopolitan later today. So be sure to check that out. Tomorrow we have the astrology reading, which is going to be super, super fun. Chelsea's going to be leading that on Instagram Live. And we also have another amazing panel that is going to be led by our very own Sarah, which will be streaming here on Facebook as well. So make sure you tune into all of our content. We're so excited to be able to connect with you virtually. And thank you again to our amazing panelists for sharing your stories today.
Thank you, amazing women.
Thank you.
for having me.
Thanks, Amanda.
Happy
Thanks,
CovetCon.